what are your thoughts on, I mean, I guess we can like thoughts on that cause I hear cause I'm someone that like likes to do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
If you've noticed, like I just,
Yeah.
But then I hear other entrepreneurs and other voices say like, oh no, focus on one thing to like produce better results.
Yeah.
But then other people are like, or other entrepreneurs are like, no, I mean, I do 5 different things. So it's like, I think it's just time management.
Yeah.
Or depending on the individual.
Yeah. I guess my answer to that is listen to who's speaking.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of like fronting on social media. I think a lot of people say they make money and they don't actually, which causes a lot of problems. But I would listen to who you most want to be like. So for example, for me, it's like I listen to Alex Hormozi because he grows and scales businesses. He buys businesses, helps them grow and scale. So if your plan is to be a solopreneur, make an abundant amount and just crush it yourself, I think you could do multiple things and be just fine.
Right.
I think you can do your brand, you could do brand deals, you can do content creation, you can do social management,
people to
and
help.
you could be fine. You just got to make sure that it accommodates your lifestyle. The change would happen when if you're like, hey, no, I want this to be bigger than me and I want it to be scaled out. Because the problem with scaling 5 different things is trying to teach 5 different things to 5 different people or 5 different things to one different person. It takes a great amount of energy to move all of what you're trying to do just to one person.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
But I do believe the way to be, based on the people that I really look up to, the way to be very wealthy is to get really incredibly good at one thing. Be the best in the world at that. And then if you turn that into its own living and breathing thing without you, then you can do other things.
Like have it run on its own.
Yeah, because the skills you're going to learn to build the one business are what you need. Hormozi says it's like a game. Like you get level 1, you get level 2, you hit level 3 of whatever you're in. You're like, oh, this is too hard. I'm going to go do something else. And then you do that other thing and you do level 1, level 2, level 3. This is too hard. And you go over here, level 1. You never get to level 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But when you get to 10, those skills are transferable. So you have that one business operating and crushing. And then you take those skills, and then you go to another business and another business. That's why these like billionaires can do multiple businesses, because they've done it and they know how to do it.
And you would think that they're probably constantly working, but it's like, which they are, I'm sure, but sometimes you can get
time. Define constantly
Alex is
working.
Like, I know he's he's always working.
Like, I love that.
That's like his thing.
That's like his thing. That's what he wants to do though. Like he openly talks about how he just wants to work. Like,
and his wife, he's married, right? I think.
Yeah, they're married. Layla, she has a crazy personal brand too.
I like,
And she and her thing is work as well. And she has her own podcast, and they're successful in their own right. They do all their businesses together too.
Power.
Which is super cool. So it just depends on what you want to do, man. If you want to be like it depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like if you have a monetary goal that you're like, I got to be making this much a year, I would stay with one thing.
Yeah.
If you're like, hey, I make enough now and I'm super happy, I'm just going to keep on trying different things. Also cool.
And it's worked in that regard. Like just doing that, having like a set number and hitting it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, what's next? But I think it's
and you know what's funny is like, so I would say we're a 50K a month company. And we've got to 50K a month by doing different things and a lot of it. Yeah. And it's like, we're kind of capped because we keep, like we take on a project and it's completely unique. And it's like, we have to relearn a whole different, like there's a water filters in here, like a water filter system. Yeah. We're doing a video I thought it'd be a slam dunk and easy one, but no, we're spending all of our time relearning the industry, understanding things, shooting in a way that makes sense. And it's like, we're spending a ton of time. So like, when in reality, we should be spending all of our time working with real estate agents.
Right. Because you do different
industries, right? So now we are actually, I'm in the process of hiring a closer for the real estate side so that we can just scale that and really focus on that.
Cool.
Still doing other things here and there because we have some cool big clients that drop in from time to time. But
that's so cool though.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you. It's fun. It's stressful as as you imagine, as you know. Being a business owner
yourself. I respect it so much. I was like, yep.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, friend. We work together too. Yep. Jair Woo, man, content creator. What's up, bro?
What's up? It's good to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks
happy to have you here, man. So it's funny. I think you followed me a long time ago, and I think it was based off Morgan's stuff.
Correct. Yeah.
Because Morgan Willette's awesome.
She's
shout out Morgan Willette. Haven't
up?
Seen her. She moved to Texas.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And she's been living her best life. But
you know what's funny? I don't know if you know this, she was on Big Brother.
Yes.
And she won.
Yep.
And actually messaged me post her win.
Oh yeah.
And she was just like, hey, you seem cool. Like, let's have a party. Like, let's hang in LA. So that was just a funny, like, how the internet works. And that's how we met. So it's pretty cool. So I found you through her page.
Yeah, super cool. Because we were doing a ton of content for her.
Yeah.
And we were doing the fun influencer content at that time.
Yeah.
Like the pop ins and outs. And she always had great ideas and we had to go and figure out how to execute it.
Yeah, it's super cool.
But I needed help with social media, and thank the Lord you answered, because you know, I always like someone who's done it for themselves, right? So that's been super cool.
First-hand experience.
Yeah, and so you know, it's crazy. We get millions of views for our real estate agents, and I cannot do it for myself. So
there's a way to do it. It's a whole different business, if you will.
A whole different ballgame.
Whole different ballgame for sure.
For yourself.
Yep.
Now, just for a reference, Jair has been able to get millions and millions of views. How many followers do you have, like, across all your platforms?
Across all my platforms, I want to say definitely 500,000 for sure.
Well, you have 500,000 just on YouTube.
On
so
YouTube,
it's gotta be.
Instagram is still. I mean, it's tricky. Instagram's kind of like a slower build, if you will.
Dude, it's the same thing for everyone. Why is that?
So I'm at like, I think 60,000, which, I mean, to me, I'm like, hey, to people it can be, it's like not a lot, but I think it's great,
it's
a lot.
Knowing how hard it is to build a following, I think it's fantastic.
And there's a thing to be said about like smaller followings, if you will, like smaller creators. Like you can still, which we can get into, like you can still, if you're looking at it business side or money wise, you can still make just as much having a small following versus someone that has 1 million. There's stories to that. It's all about engagement and all that. But yeah, to answer your question, it's crazy. Like YouTube definitely is where it all began, for sure.
But to kind of go back a second, like the better of the content creator you are, that's what matters, especially today.
Definitely, like the quality and the authenticity and essentially like what you bring to the table, 100%. Right? Versus, again, like you can get fixated on, and sure, that definitely is amazing to have a larger following. I mean, again, that's kind of like subjective, whatever anyone wants, but yeah, it can work for you as well.
You have a large following, but every platform is leaning towards like, you got to be good.
Yes.
So it doesn't even matter.
And short form content.
Yeah, short form.
Which was something I had to kind of adjust to, which is so interesting.
Yeah, because you started in YouTube, right?
Yeah, I mean, the YouTube, and I mean, back then, like I was making like 10-minute videos, which to narrow it down to like 30 seconds, some brands are like, oh, make it short, like 30 seconds, and we'll pay you this much for the same amount, but just like 30 seconds. I'm like, whoa, let me readjust.
And what's crazy to think about, like in that specific thing, is like maybe like the well-educated brands know that like 30 seconds of really focused work is going to be sometimes even harder than a longer video.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I have this internal conversation with my team. I'm like, hey, like we know this trend will pop for this brand, and we know this iPhone video that we did, it's not going to be like the most immaculate in studio thing, but it's like, this will perform better than that because their goal is sales and virality. It's not brand and web right now. Right. So like, but the thing is trying to explain that to a client is very hard to do.
Yeah. It's
you don't need this beautiful in studio like glamour thing. You need people to buy your stuff.
Exactly.
When you have people buying your stuff, we'll come back. Then we'll do your page. We'll make it nice.
Totally. Which is a mind f***, if you will, in a way.
For the owner, I understand.
Yeah. So it's interesting you say that too, because even on like, speaking of like brand deals specifically, a lot of the times they're like, lately in this like TikTok age and whatnot, they're like, we just want something a bit less professional looking. And I'm like, whoa, I'm used to trying to make it as professional as I can, right? Yeah. With quality, lighting, audio. And now it's like, no, we just want you like speaking in front of the camera. Yeah. Making it super casual. I'm like, all right.
But I think it's crazy, dude. It's because like, I know there's a place for both. What I think they're saying is they're saying, hey, it's more performance based than what gear you're using.
Totally.
Which is, I'm seeing that across platform too.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Because we work with restaurants, helping them go viral as well.
Yeah.
Man, we work with everyone.
See, you get it though.
But
you get it.
Why do you think Instagram's the hardest place to grow? Because I hear that from everyone, not just from you. I feel that myself. Like I hear it from everyone.
Why do I think it's the hardest to grow? That's a good question. I think it's that's a good one. I think about it all the time. I think it's just maybe having that like commitment to like follow someone. And I think now with which is so interesting because I know reels are popping off on Instagram, but it's like, I feel like TikTok is easier to get a following in my experience versus Instagram, which is kind of like the same in a way.
You think this because it's a little bit easier? I mean, the For You kind of page is way easier for new people to see you.
Yeah.
I always say like Instagram's like your home.
Right.
And then the for me right now, YouTube Shorts and TikTok is like a wide open Wild West kind of thing.
Which on the other side of the coin, I think with TikTok, yes, you get a faster following or a quicker following, but oftentimes, at least for me, I follow people and then they don't even show up. Like I forget I follow them. It's just kind of like you get less engagement.
Almost like the way it's set up is the followers less bought in.
Correct. Yeah.
Which I think TikTok changed everything because now it's all performance based.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if someone followed you, and I remember when Instagram used to show their content to all of your followers or most of your followers, and now it's nothing.
Yeah.
So it's just got to be like really good content that works for your followers, non-followers.
My answer probably would be, not that I have like the answer, but I want to say it's like Instagram's almost like, all right, we're like the next stage of our relationship.
100%.
Like, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
I fully agree.
If I follow you.
Yeah. It's like a barrier to entry is TikTok.
Yeah.
And like, hey, I really like you. I want a little bit more.
Like, let me follow you on Instagram to like really, I'm like in it.
It's a bigger deal.
A bigger deal for
sure. Do you think a YouTube subscription's the biggest deal, or?
I think so. I think YouTube is going to be like forever. Like that's,
I think when someone subscribes to you on YouTube though, I'm like, oh, that's like buy-in.
Oh, I agree too.
Okay.
More than Instagram. And now with Shorts, I mean, I think YouTube is where it's at, honestly. So
yeah, no, for sure. How did you get started in social media?
Yeah. So I started in 2012. Yeah. Which is like what, like 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago. And let me give context. I've always been into like style, fashion. It was just kind of like a thing. Yeah. Even in high school, I was like nominated best dressed, which is interesting because like I didn't even know people noticed. Yeah. I was just like doing my thing. Yeah. And when I was a kid, like I wanted video cameras and whatnot. So, like, you know, like some kids wanted like cars, like toy cars, little Hot Wheels. Like I wanted cameras because I was always into the creative process of things and like filming and whatnot. And I was like actually en route to go to like photography school because like I wanted to be a photographer and like go to National Geographic and do all these things. So fast forward to like 2012 was like the genesis of like YouTube, right? And like creators. Yep. And I was watching a lot of the OG creators, but I didn't really know that you can actually make like a living off of it. I just thought it was like a cool creative field. And it was like, oh, this is more community based back then, right? It was a smaller group of people. And yeah, I just noticed like my cousins actually would watch girls like do makeup tutorials. Sure. And I was like, wow, what is this? And I found them being so loyal to like those channels. And I was like, wait, why don't I just create content, but for men, like men's fashion, right? Like people already ask me things like, oh, what do you use for your hair? What do you, so I'm like, I can just make a video, do this. It's fun. No one's going to watch it. Right. Maybe like 5 people.
Wink, wink. That's fun.
And I just started posting. It was like during the summer I was working part-time and going to school. And honestly, a few weeks late, I actually started with health. Like I did like fashion Fridays, which is kind of funny.
That's cool.
And I did a video then. And then Wednesdays was like recipe videos because I was also into health and fitness. Nice. I still am. So like, let me just do 2 and see what sticks. And I like these 2 things. It's easy. Yep. And a couple of weeks in, or a few weeks in, like one of the fashion videos got like 100,000 views and like a bunch of comments.
Oh shoot.
And I was like, oh, this is tight. Like I can, people actually watch. And then I honed in on like the fashion content. I scratched the recipes. Like, this is super fun. Fast forward, long story short, I think it took like maybe 2 months in, a video went viral. It got like 1 million views. Oh. And I think since that video, I was getting like 100 followers or subscribers per day, like at least for like 3-4 months. It sounds like an exaggeration, but I believe it grew rapidly. I believe it. And I will say, like, I do think I had something to say, and also the competition was smaller. Sure. So it was growing and growing. And that's when I, like, months in, I think it took like 8 months. I was like, this can actually be something. Let me go all in. Yeah. Quit my job. Yeah. and the rest was history. I stopped going to school, just put it on pause. And I was able to...
What were you doing at the time, worky-wise?
I was doing retail. I was a manager.
Right.
Still like with, clothing in a sense.
It makes sense. I was going to say, because you know it well.
Yeah, they like would make me change mannequins and whatnot and like do the whole thing.
Like style the floor.
All of that,
That's
style
cool.
the floor. And I was doing just, community college.
Yeah.
Again, was going to transfer. But yeah, I just stopped everything and I was like... I was honestly making, months later after I started my channel, I was accepted to the YouTube partnership program.
Oh, sick.
And then I was making more money than my part-time job, like double the amount with just that, like the first,
just YouTube.
And I was like, the sky is the limit. Let me just go all in. And yeah, that's kind of like how it began. My long story to that, but it's like context.
Yeah, no, for sure. A lot of things there. It's funny. You were like, talking about loyalty to the creator. It's like, isn't it so true? Like having a personal brand, like having a good, honest personal brand is so good. For reference. So my girlfriend and I watch the Him and Hers podcast, or like we listen to it, like Lauren and Michael Bosick.
Okay.
And they bring on like a bunch of different brands with reasons and why. They'll bring on the founder. And I was like, I feel like we bought like at least 5 different subscriptions from just them like, and bringing people on. And I was like, okay, if Lauren and Michael Bosick approve, like we approve too. Like that's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
but isn't that crazy? Like, but I know I'm not the only one that is like that with creators.
Oh no, it's the authenticity, I think, and that like connection.
Yeah.
I think early on with my content, which is interesting because a lot of, and it's cool that I knew that. I act like it was like, it was kind of long ago, like 10 years ago. But even at the time, I was like, I want my message to be larger than just the clothes that I wear. Like, I want to tie in like bits of me, right? To like connect with my audience. Because again, I think at the time, I know at the time it was more community, right? And like I connected with, just like you said, you kind of connect with do you say
his and her? The Him and Hers podcast.
Yeah. So I was like, I want people to connect with me too. Yeah. So I would like throw in motivation, if you will. Like the underlying message was to be like the best version of yourself that you can be. That like style is all it's like everything that you are, right? Like who you are inside and like how you present yourself to the world. And
who you are is why people will work with you.
Right.
Like what you do is why people watch, but who you are is why people stay and why they'll work with you.
Totally. Yeah.
I try to explain this to like my real estate clients all the time because real estate, in fairness, real estate's incredibly competitive and local. And so we have multiple clients, some are in the same place. But what I had to explain, I was like, because someone will get worried. It's like, hey, but it's just the same thing. It's like, well, no, we'll make sure it looks different, sounds different. But people are going to work with you because they like you. Like they'll listen to you because of what you say, but they're going to work with you because of you.
Because they like you.
Yeah, and all of our clients are successful. There's no issue there. So that's kind of like a funny little tidbit. It's like be yourself. People will gravitate towards that.
Totally.
Which is cool.
So you can have all the information in the world and the knowledge and whatever you're selling, but if they don't connect with you and your brand, it can only take you so far. Right.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I know we were talking before camera about how you're not an influencer, but you are, but you're not.
Yeah.
And you're a content creator.
Yeah.
So walk me through that whole process that you're going through right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's no shade, if you will, to like that term or influencers. Cause I am an influencer. That's like the title. But I think I come from like the time where it was like content creator, right? Like that was like the YouTube era. And I always say YouTube because that's like where I started. And speaking from experience, I think the term influencer can have its like negative connotations or attachments that like one might be self-centered or be, and that's just, again, in my opinion, like self-centered, or it's like all about me, which I mean, that means the same thing. But even being like somewhat shallow. The cool thing is that I think nowadays people really understand that like, no, this is more than just like what you see. Like this can actually become something. It's a business. Once you run numbers with someone, they're like, oh shit, like, okay. Yeah. I see what you're doing. Right?
Yeah. So
for me, it's like, I think that's why I'm like, I know I'm a content creator. Like I'm not an influencer.
Right.
If that makes sense. But then again, I am influencing. So I've come to terms with that. Yeah.
For sure.
With that title.
So you're a content creator. You understand you're going to be labeled as an influencer, but you just keep it as real as possible.
Totally. As real as I can. And there's the beauty of influencers, like so many different niches,
Yeah.
and that's the cool thing about the internet.
But like also giving a little bit of credit to influencers. It's like the world has kind of demonized it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
I made a video a while ago with like the era of influencers ending, and it was whatever. The title is the title. The video is just about how having a business on the back end is going to be more important for you in the long run.
Right.
And the hate on influencers was crazy. It was like,
Yeah.
good, make these people find a real job. And I was like,
That's-
wait, no. Like, no, like I make content too.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's hard work. It's just different.
I'm glad you said that, because that's one thing I didn't mention now is I think
Yeah.
it's you get almost like labeled as like, oh, well, get a real job.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, first off, I mean, that's subjective, but also it's a lot of fucking work. Like
I'll take you one further.
a lot of work.
It's not only is it a lot of work, it's self-starter work. So you have to do it yourself. You can't show up and clock in and get paid no matter what the you do. It's like real self-starter work.
Yeah.
You live and die by your performance. Like you're not getting paid hourly.
Nope.
And you have to take a full risk on yourself. Like it is significantly harder in a lot of ways.
And you're putting yourself out there.
Yes.
Not only that, but you're constantly going.
Yeah.
It's hard to clock
That's
off.
a video. That's a video. That's a video.
Yeah, I'm like, that's video. That's video. Da-da-da.
Oh, this didn't work. Why didn't that work? Oh, I gotta
yeah.
adjust that. Oh, maybe if I did this next time. Oh, I gotta learn that thing. I only
already
watched that
posted
video
that
because I gotta
one.
learn. Bro.
Oh, I should delete this.
Yeah, 'cause this isn't good.
yeah,
This
this is
isn't
better.
performing. Let me delete it. No, don't delete it. Don't delete it. Don't delete it.
And
No, let me delete it.
then that's when it gets tricky.
Yeah.
When influencers, and I've been there early on, you can get attached so much. It can get blurry when you start attaching self-worth to numbers and
Oh, yeah.
performance.
Absolutely.
That's a whole different conversation.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, oh, this didn't do so well.
hard not to.
And you get like down on yourself. And I'm sure you understand
I do.
this completely.
Yeah.
Where I've had to kind of be like, you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes,
Yeah.
but I'm like, this isn't indicative of like who I am or
Yeah.
like my performance
Yeah.
or I don't know. Like,
Yeah, like it's not your character.
Yeah, it's
you're
not my
You're
character.
not a kind person. You're still a hard
Yeah.
worker. You're still a kind person.
Yeah.
You still have all these good
Still-
things about you. It's
I've
just
still
like,
worked hard for all this. Like
Exactly.
it's not.
but
not
it
me.
is hard not to attach personal self-worth to content. Like I know well.
Especially with the competition and like comparison and
Yeah.
I think we get that we're as humans that's natural sometimes, but yeah, especially when you're like working in it,
Yeah.
it can get a bit murky sometimes. So you
Yeah,
have to
no,
like
dude.
really know who you are and be like, all right, this isn't me, but it is me. But it's like
It's just separate. You
Separate.
got to learn to separate from it.
compartmentalize.
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
I'm working on my accounts right now after neglecting them for years and building other people's accounts.
Yeah.
So I'm firsthand having to do that. Like, okay, this is
Yeah. And it's cool to connect with other people that are doing the similar thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's hard. That's another thing too. It's not a lot of people can understand. And I'm not out of touch. Like I'm super grateful for it. I'm not trying to like hate on it. It's just a whole different thing that is hard for others to relate to. Because it's if you complain, you're like, man, I'm having a hard time. Like, I'm like stressed. You're like, well, what are you stressed about? Like you're working from home. You get all this freedom. Like, no, it's actually quite.
Dude, stress is stress. It doesn't
It's-
matter if you're in an office or at home.
It's a lot. It's work.
But
It's
you're
fun,
also a
but
business owner at that point, which is the most intense stress you can have.
Totally.
Which is
Yes.
yeah. I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Quite a bit actually. It's hard.
You're like all the time. every
All the
day.
time. It's hard. It's so many benefits to it. Like so many opportunities, so many like income generating things and living well. It's all great, but just the times when it's not great is so hard.
It's really hard. Yeah. I totally agree.
What so let's talk numbers within reason, because I don't want you to have to spill your whole thing. What's one of the biggest, or what's the biggest brand deal you've ever done?
The biggest brand deal. Okay, so it's interesting. I'm the first brand. I think this was actually the first brand deal.
Yeah.
And I always say like I have a little bit of like street smart in me, or
Sure.
I know a little bit about at the time. Like I knew something about business, right?
Right.
So I think this was like month 10 into like fully like just creating content nonstop.
Yep.
And it's funny looking back because I would get PR packages from like hair brands that I talked about and what I liked, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, holy, this is so cool. Like,
Yeah.
which I am still grateful for free stuff. I mean, who doesn't like free things? But I was like, this is tight. Like, I'm going to create videos with this.
Yeah.
So I was giving them essentially like even more free promo.
Yep.
So fast forward to like 10 months in, I got an email from a shoe brand.
Sure.
And the email read, we want you to create like 2 videos on YouTube. One is going to be a full dedicated video, at least 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Another one is like a 1.5-minute shout out and an Instagram post. And we're going to give you 3 options wherever you want in the States. It has to be Hawaii, Key West in Florida, and Virgin Islands.
So they're going to
St.
fly
Croix.
you to where you
We're
want
going to fly you where I want to go.
Sick.
A week. You can shoot whatever you want, creative freedom, as long as you integrate it somehow in your video.
Yeah.
We're open to your ideas. And that's basically it. Like, what's your budget? What are you charging? And I was like, at that point, dude, I was like, I can like $1,000.
Yeah, give me $1,000, please.
And that for me at the time was like, that's a lot because they're already paying for my flight. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just down for a free trip.
Right.
So I was about to reply like, 1,500. But then I stopped myself and I said, wait, like, what's your budget? So like, I kind of acted as if like it's not as important to me. I was like, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
And like, what's your budget?
Out of curiosity, what's
Like-
your budget for this? Like, what are you hoping to pay?
Yeah, like I have like 10 lined up. You're like
Yeah.
number 10. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But I was like, what are you guys thinking? I'll think about it. And they they replied back and they said, oh, so we're thinking $35,000.
And you were going to reply with 1.5.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, then I was like
Hallelujah.
what? I
Yeah.
mean, did they like add an extra 0 to it? Like
Yeah.
for this, like I would do it for free.
Yeah.
And I, at the time I was like, wait, so
You're like kind
I
of
could do
making
like
sure
another
it's-
another X post if you bring it up for like
Yeah.
40K.
Yeah.
And that was the first deal for me that I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is like the power with,
Sheesh. Having
With-
a personal brand.
yeah. So that was like eye opening for me. And it's funny. I even like held that for some reason. Like I didn't tell my parents or anything because I was like, no, this is like
my thing.
it's my
Don't take it from me. It's mine.
So that was my first one. And
That's
I
a
think
gigantic deal.
Yeah. And again, I was like so green at the time, but I guess not so green, but that was like the beginning of this can actually like be something.
You know what's crazy though is like you are like, oh, they're paying me a lot and the flights too. But what you don't think about is they're looking at it and you're
Yeah.
gonna have to look at it eventually. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm there for a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time to pay you for.
Yeah.
Even though it's fun, whatever. I don't care. Like that's a
Totally.
lot of work you're paying for.
Oh yeah.
And the cheat code I heard there was most of the time, in my experience,
Yeah.
when you work with brands, you're working with you're working with a part of that brand that has no stake in the financials. They know how much they're going to spend. So if
Yep.
you ask them what they can spend, usually they're just going to give it to you.
Yeah.
They're not negotiating. They're just going to be like, oh, here's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Which is a very specific differentiation because when I work with real estate agents, it's always their own money. So it's always a negotiation.
It's like a back and forth, constant.
But
Yeah.
usually, and smaller brands as well. So
Yeah.
like self-funded founders that I talk to are like, oh, well, it's basically my personal money.
Yeah, it's
But
like,
when
"Ah,
you
this is much."
when you start playing with the big boys, they pretty much have a brand in mind. You just gotta ask them for it.
Yeah. Just don't be
So-
afraid to ask.
Don't be afraid. Ask what the budget
And
is.
they usually have a budget in line for, let's say, a brand's budget for a said project is like, I don't know, let's just say like 40,000. So they have like 10 influencers in mind.
Yep.
And it's like, a lot of the times if you do negotiate and are smart about it, you can actually like add something else to it. And they're more likely to like give you more.
They're already
like
bought in.
scratch another influencer.
Yeah.
And you get more. You know, so
Dude, that's a huge deal. So yeah, just like so it's 35, but for 40, I can do
Yeah.
another post.
Yeah, which
for
is
45, I can
what
do
I kind of
post.
did with the first one, which
Right.
at the time I was even like, this is crazy. But it kind of clicked. I was like, no, Jair, like they have a lot, they got the money.
Yeah.
It's a big brand.
Well, you just,
know?
it's really natural for us to be like, they're paying for our flight. We're
Yeah,
basically,
like, I'm not worthy.
You're selling yourself in this case,
Yeah.
but you're selling with your own wallet. Mm-hmm. And like one of the sales things that I've always learned is you can't sell with your own wallet because
Facts.
what feels expensive to you is a drop of it's nothing to
Right.
someone else.
And you're providing, I mean, the money they would be spending for, I don't know, production and all this to like create an actual ad. It's like they have that
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
for the creator.
100%.
And
So-
it's more I think the value is even higher with the connection you have with your audience, the what's it called? There's a word for it, but essentially like the engagement you have with
Your
like your audience,
community,
the
yeah.
community,
Yeah.
like there's more selling point there.
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely.
it's pretty fascinating.
No, so that's a really fun, that's a really interesting point, and something that I think other influencers can take away from, and just business people in general.
Yeah.
So if they have a budget and you offer just a little bit more, you might just be able to get a little bit more, which
Yeah.
I've also known that to be true.
And oftentimes with that, they always give you the lowest.
Yeah.
The
lowest, and the deal
Right.
is 35 to 50. Let's see if they go for 35.
I'm like, dun dun dun.
Now, so we don't have to name the brand on that one, but let's flip the game. Not with price, but what's your favorite brand that you've worked with?
Favorite brand? That's actually still to this day one of them, because I think what I like with brands is when they give you the creative freedom.
Yeah.
Right. There's other stories where it's like, bro, at this point, like, do you want to give me like step by step, which is fair because they're paying you, but it's like, I'm the creator. I know what my audience likes.
wants,
like,
and I know that's going to be a thing.
right. Like, it's like, do you want this to sell? Because it's like, people are not dumb. Like, they know, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of them, which I'm really lucky that like my first deal was like that. If it involves travel and creative freedom, like I'm in.
You're in.
But there's, so many. I've worked with Nike. I'm all naming brands, which is fine. Whatever. I've also.
I think the separator is attaching the price to the brand. That's what I'm like. If you just
Yeah.
don't attach the price to the brand, we'll talk about your biggest deal and then your favorite brands. But like from like a consumption standpoint,
Right.
what do you like? Like for me, if Birkenstock reached out to me, I'd be like, oh my
I
God,
love Birkenstock.
If
you guys.
I'm down. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for
Yeah.
me, what's
Totally.
like a brand to you that for your personal usage that you're like, I've been wearing these I've been using this since I was.
I think that one. Honestly, Nike.
Nike,
I
nice.
love like Nike running shoes,
Doesn't
and
get-
they take really good care of you.
Yeah.
And they're so easy to work with.
Yeah.
Like super cool. They're like, they get it. At least in my experience working with them, like
Yeah.
they get it. They're like,
Yeah.
we trust you. Do what you got to do. And again, the list. I'm so lucky that I have that like list of brands that I've worked with and continue to work with. That's a
Right.
positive thing when they want to
Right.
work with you again.
Yep.
It means you're creating cool shit and like
Yep.
they like it and it's working. But to give you a not specific answer, but I guess to just say like the brands I like to work with are again ones that allow you to like have that freedom,
Yeah.
right? Because again, I think that reads easily to the audience. But definitely like Birkenstock would be so cool.
No, yeah.
That
Birkenstock.
hasn't happened
Let's
yet.
we could do a 3-way deal here. Influencer,
Please.
content creator, non-influencer, different styles of videos, whatever. We'll package it up.
just-
Whatever you want to do, you let us know.
Literally, I wear you guys all the time.
Yeah, and me too. I've
I
got
was
them
gonna
on
wear them today. I had the clogs, but I went with Converse.
right now.
I have those too. See?
I need to get a new pair. So
They're the best.
I mean, it sounds like pretty quickly you were able to transition the views that you were getting your attention into business. Was there
Yeah.
anything that was not as easy or as yeah? Does that make
Easy.
sense?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
very easy for you to do. It sounds like it was very easy for you to be like, okay, I make videos, and okay, now I get paid to make videos.
Yeah.
Was there anything that was kind of hard or
Along the process,
Yeah.
or along the way.
yeah?
I think from my experience, it was kind of what I was saying earlier. It was like getting too fixated on like the numbers and like the views. Cause like how I started it was wanting to have that like authentic connection with people. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like I had to find the balance of like not, how do I say this? Like not making it too business like and struggling with that.
Sure.
Right. Cause I'm like, I want to be real, but then it's like, there's also strategy to this too.
Sure.
So I think I struggled with that. Also, maybe not relating as much to having other people to like connect with that did the same thing.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard. Sometimes I want that, like I miss that, even though I had a large following and that connection, which is super cool with people like around the world. But in persons, I missed that. Like I missed like having a team because I did it all myself. Like the
Right.
first couple of years I was the editor, producer, one man show. I was doing it all.
Yeah.
Which I like, but I did miss. I think that was mostly like the struggle for me was just like missing that like, and I know it sounds like, oh my God, what hard life, but no, I did miss that for sure.
Yeah, no, I feel
Yeah.
that. Yeah, man.
In
So-
comparison, I mean, we all go through that, right?
Yeah.
You understand that.
Definitely.
And the nonstop thinking.
What
again.
was nonstop thinking?
I'm like on the plane, I'm just like jotting down ideas.
Yeah, idea after idea. Is this the right
Ideas,
idea?
yeah.
I don't know if we do this.
Yeah.
What's one experience that we haven't already talked about that your career has led you to that you're like, this is, wow, this is cool.
This is cool. Probably again, getting to travel maybe is one thing.
What's your favorite trip that you went on for a brand though?
Favorite trip? I do want to talk about another experience too after this.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, New York, I'm always a fan of.
Sure, me too.
And with that, I've been led to places like Germany. I went to Italy, which is great.
Shoot.
And then again, interviewing people like Landon, which I told you about earlier.
Yeah.
Like that was cool because I'm like, I'm not an interviewer.
Yeah.
But this was really sick to be able to like work with Neutrogena and meet him. And I come from like a huge soccer family, so they were like, oh my god, like that's so cool. And it's ironic because I wasn't really like the sporty kid. It's more like the creative. It's funny that you're the one that's doing all this. But yeah, cool stuff like that, just meeting people and all that.
What was the other one you wanted to talk about?
The what?
You said I have one more thing I want to
that was it. The
Landon Donovan thing. Yes. What was that specifically? It was Neutrogena sent you to interview Landon Donovan where?
Correct. He was the like spokesperson for a time being, and they had like I think it was 5 of us.
Yeah.
And we went to the I forgot what stadium was here in LA. The not SoFi.
Gosh, whatever. Wait, I got you.
Yeah, my brain, and we gotta have like this cool day. They had like gift bags and obviously compensated for, and we got to like play with him. He like taught us certain drills and stuff like that, and got to just talk to him aside from the interview. He was super cool. Yeah, I've heard stories, but he was super humble when I met him, and
awesome.
That was really cool. So I was like,
that's
whoa,
super cool.
What
does a trip where you're traveling? Because like when you think of like influencer content creation, influencer creating content, could be fashion. You literally could do it from your bedroom.
Right.
What is it like? What does it look like to go to Germany for a brand and create content? Like, why does it have to be Germany? Like, what does that look like?
I think that's just contingent on the brand and a lot of different things. For example, like they can take you to, like, let's say I'll just use an example like Dove Men Care. Now that's another amazing brand that I love working with. Sure. They, for example, flew me out to New York and they're like, oh, we have this like 3-day spa thing for Dove Men Care. And Dooley's like, so they have, and the cool thing is a lot of the times they're like, oh, we'll get you here. You'll get compensated, but we're not really asking for much. Like you don't have to really post as much, but obviously they want you to.
Yeah.
But
they don't want to put on pressure for you. So that creates,
which I think is kind of a cool like reverse psychology because then you're like, oh, I want to.
It's what you actually want to post.
Correct. Yeah. So that was cool. That's kind of like what it looks like.
That makes sense.
Or like we want you to test out this car, like
that's
Ford.
Which car?
Yeah. Am I getting a car? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Like, well, what car have you tested out?
It was just like a Ford. It was in Denver, actually, in the States. But it was a Ford something. This was like 6 years ago.
That's so cool.
And I think it's so funny because my manager was like, I think we're in talks of like, you're going to get a free car.
Oh my gosh.
Like, no way.
Yeah, please.
So like the 3 of us were like the whole time, and then that didn't happen, which is fine. I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
They just, and then Watchbox 2 was pretty cool, which was, they have like Rolex and different watches, and you get to see like how they create watches, which I saw an interview of yours too with
Equus Steven.
Yes. Yeah. So we got to go behind the scenes of that. And I think the cool thing of those trips, so honestly, for me, is meeting other people, other creators from like, across like states. It's like, oh my God, that's so sick. We can connect. Yep. And I've actually still remained friends with a lot of those people that I've met in those trips, because you spend a certain, amount of days with those people and you just form connections. So I think that's also like a cool thing about those trips.
Yeah.
Is that.
No, that's sick.
Meeting people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Talk to me about Good Soul Supply.
Yeah. So I just, I started this brand 2 years ago. Again, I've always been into jewelry, which is kind of ironic because I don't really wear as much anymore. And I would promote that a lot on my channel, of course, like other brands. So I just wanted to create my own, just make it a more curated collection, just like minimal pieces. I'm personally not really into like the bigger chunky jewelry. I just like some like minimal statement pieces. So yeah, I have rings that I sell, like necklaces, like minimal necklaces,
Sick.
bracelets, cuffs, and yeah, it's again, we're working on a new collection right now. But if you want to go online and check out the previous collection, it's goodsoulsupply.com. So it's
yeah.
easily integrated into like my content. And
What made you want to do it though? When did you want to create it?
I've always been into the jewelry, like accessories. It's interesting. I wear a lot of like minimal outfits. Like honestly, I wear black pretty much all day.
Fair.
Again, it's kind of funny that I create fashion, but it's just black. Like I just like minimal, but I think like sometimes it's like the accessories, like a hat, right?
Yep.
Or glasses.
Yep.
I'm into all of that. So yeah, I was like, dude, why not just create my collection, what I like.
Yeah.
I have a platform. Like, what am I doing? What am I not doing?
I wish I had a hat company.
That'd be sick. Yeah.
But that's sick. Well, there you have it on the Good Soul Supply. Go check out some jewelry.
Thanks.
I'm going to check it out.
And you
I
should
just
come out
started
with some hats, by the way, too.
You have hats there?
No, I said you should.
Oh, I was
come
like,
out with
hats. What? I'm like a hat collector.
Yeah.
But that would be cool eventually.
Yeah.
Which I will check out because I just started getting into bracelets.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Like trying to, dude, I am the most like simple, non-accessorized person ever, but I'm trying to be better.
I see. I have like little, cuffs, minimal things, something like understated, but it's still pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, if you can believe it, it has been 40 minutes, bro.
No way.
Yeah. So if there's anything else you want to talk about, man, I appreciate you coming on the show.
I will say, just to end
Hit me. Please tell me.
I'm grateful. I just want to say I know we're talking about the real side of all of this, but truly like, I think I still love creating content and everything that has happened. But I also loved meeting you two throughout this process, connecting.
Yeah,
so
dude, we worked together. It's been fun, man.
Yeah.
I hope that I feel as though the connection between us has been awesome. It's been beneficial both ways, and I'm really excited to keep going on what we're doing.
Awesome. That went by fast. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, there you have it, Jair Woo. And then I'm saying your name Jair like a white person, right? Is that kind of the problem?
No. It's funny. It's Jair.
Jair.
But I get Jair. When I started my YouTube channel, I said Jair.
And then, but I heard you reference yourself.
Jair.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like the real pronunciation.
Jair. Okay.
But in YouTube, that's to circle it all back. It's in school, like some friends would be like Jair.
Yeah. I
was like, that's cool. I like
fine.
it. It's fine. So then on YouTube,
it's easy for you to say.
Let's make this easier. It's like Jair Woo. But
well, there you have it, Jair Woo. Jair. I'll do the pseudo. Jair.
Jar.
Jair. Well, thank you so much for being here, bro.
Appreciate it. Thank you.